What's up, gamers? It's ThunderShark115, and today we are going to be taking a look at some angry comments that I got on my recent Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree video where I responded to Asmongold. As it turns out, a lot of Asmongold fanboys were not happy with the fact that I dared to call out their favorite YouTuber, but anyways, let's go ahead and get right into this shit.
Let's make it simple. When I come back to the main game for the DLC, literally everything is a joke. When I began the DLC, many common mobs would take off over half my HP in one hit. Once you get some blessings, it's fine, but there's no denying the base numbers are in the league of their own, so the onboarding feels really rough.
Well, like you said, once you find a few blessings, it's fine, so literally just take some time to explore your surroundings and you'll find plenty of them.
So there's no wonder people started complaining soon after release. This isn't worth the drama or the rambling about difficulty. These complaints are the results of the balance curve, and the balance curve is usually handled by the game designer, so God Emperor Miyazaki isn't 110% perfect and doesn't see into the 6th dimension to discover the exact perfect numbers to put on everything, evident by the fact that they're already rolling out balance patches.
My guy, literally every Souls game has had balance patches after release to fine-tune everything. That doesn't mean that the game as a whole is too bullshit. Also, most of Asmongold's complaints weren't even about the damage numbers or anything. The mechanics of the DLC, which Asmongold was complaining about, have largely stayed the same.
If anything, it too in Elden Ring, it's too gay.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
You know, I think this is the perfect representation of these Asmongold fanboys. They can't even articulate correctly. Like, I genuinely am not sure what the fuck this dude is trying to get across. Like, if it's an Elden Ring, it's bad or something. I don't fucking know.
Adapt to what? Using garbage and boring mechanics with zero depth like crafting, summoning spirit ashes, or using OP builds recommended by YouTube or Wikipedia? Or just get good and adapt to the new BS boss design? You know what you Elden Ring fans can say just adapt, when the mechanic is actually fun and requires skill. For example, you have to adapt to deflected Sekiro. Is it hard? Yeah. Does it require skill? Yeah. Does it get fun after mastering it? Hell yeah. Now ask the same questions for spirit ashes, using buffs, and other BS things that ruin the Elden Ring.
Hold up, spirit ashes and using buffs ruin Elden Ring? That's news to me. But on top of that, I'm really not sure how this is relevant to the DLC specifically, considering that these were also the same mechanics in the base game, and if you didn't like the base game because of this shit, then why the fuck are you playing the DLC? Besides, it's not like Elden Ring doesn't have its own share of skillful mechanics. As for the bosses, they are not BS, as I explained in my video. Learn their attack patterns, and learn when to dodge and when to attack and heal. And if you're gonna argue that that doesn't require skill, well then I really have no idea what the fuck to tell you.
Asmongold is 100% right with input reading. If you're low health and run away from the boss, he's almost dormant, but don't dare press the button to heal because you will be punished instantly. Also, due to input reading, bosses sometimes have unreadable attack patterns. If a boss attacks your summoning spirit, why would he make a 4-hit combo move and after the 3-hit lock onto you just because you're healing? This is especially horrible with homing spells because they don't even look into your direction, and then they come flying towards you. I played the DLC and I'll stick with DS3 and BB.
Again, part of the challenge of Souls games, and all Souls games, not just the DLC for Elden Ring, is learning the boss's attack patterns. If you know the boss is going to attack you if you heal during a certain time, and you choose to heal during that time anyway, then that's on fucking you, my guy. Besides, it's not like the boss can animation read you at every opportunity. There are recovery windows where they can't do that, so you use those recovery windows to attack the boss or to heal. Just like how it works with any other Souls boss. Is it harder? Absolutely, but it's a DLC, so it's expected to be harder. Besides, you know what you can do? You can also use those bone darts, which are incredibly quick to throw, to bait out these attacks, dodge them, and then counter or heal or whatever the fuck it is you need to do.
In my opinion, you take almost everything out of context that was said. Feels more to me like a personal issue between you two guys than an informative vid.
Example? Yeah, spoiler alert, he never does provide an example. Also, you say that this doesn't feel like an informative video, but this is not meant to be an informative video. The vast majority of the videos on my channel are meant to entertain. My whole channel, at least for the past 2 years, has been founded on me taking the piss out of people's shitty takes online regarding video games. It really doesn't go deeper than that.
If the DLC is so great, why do you defend it so much?
Money. Well, that, and I love to make fun of stupid people online.
Apparently, everyone in the comments don't fully grasp the situation and just label me with the Get Good label, obviously in the much longer format. Have fun when Consort Radon is the new Taurus demon.
Well, damn, this is some tinfoil hat conspiracy shit if I've ever seen it. Now, while I'm not exactly a huge fan of the final boss of this DLC, at the same time, I highly doubt it's going to lead to power creep in the next Souls game where one of the first bosses is going to be about as difficult as the final boss of Shadow of the Erdtree, especially considering that FromSoft has released plenty of DLCs with difficult bosses in the past, as far back as Artorias of the Abyss and Dark Souls 1, and yet despite that, the difficulty curve of all the Souls games that came after it were perfectly fine. Well, besides maybe Dark Souls 2, but even then, that was more the result of the fact that a different team made that game. So don't you worry, dude. I'm sure it'll be just fine. Also, just keep this Culvamoon guy in the back of your head because he's gonna end up being the star of this video later.
The problem is adapting makes the game too boring and not adapting too hard because Miyazaki is a massive hack.
Well, try telling that to the many millions of people that enjoyed the fuck out of this DLC. I mean, if you found it boring, that's fine, but that's a personal issue on your part. Besides, adapting has always been a part of the Souls games.
Bro, the camera on the Golden Giant Thugs is bullshit and everyone acknowledged that. Not to give Asmongold credit because his takes are still shit, but Golden Hippo is a shitty fight. End of the story.
Oh, really? Okay, so everybody that's claiming that the Golden Hippo fight is bad because of the camera, are they in the room with us right now? Like, I have literally seen nobody besides Asmongold and a couple of his fanboys claim that the camera in the Golden Hippo fight is shitty. I had zero issues with the camera whatsoever during that fight. Even in the cases where my back ended up against the wall as a result of dodging the wrong way. So, please elaborate?
Just trying to farm views. You don't even know how he beat the game.
Well, no fucking shit.
What? You mean a YouTuber posts videos to YouTube for people to watch them? Oh my god, it's almost like that's the entire point of this entire fucking website. In other news, grass is green, water is wet, and the sky is blue. Also, I don't give a shit if he beat the DLC or how he beat it. If his arguments are dog shit, then I'm gonna make fun of him.
Exactly this. Going after one of the biggest streamers to try and raise his profile.
This is the catch-22 of being a commentary channel. You make fun of somebody bigger than you, and you're just clout chasing. But if you make fun of somebody smaller than you, then you're just punching down. At the end of the day, I really don't see why the fuck it matters. If your arguments are stupid, then your arguments are stupid. It doesn't matter if you have 1 sub or 1,000,000 subs. My response would not have changed. In fact, I didn't even know who the fuck Asmongold even was until this whole situation.
And what happens if FromSoft decides to up the challenge so far that they alienate the very community that got them this far?
See, didn't I tell you that this dude would be back? But luckily somebody else with the word moon in their name actually had a pretty good response to this. If anyone can overcome new challenges, are longtime FromSoft fans. You either leave that ego that you are a Souls game veteran and start respecting the moveset, or play literally anything else. You will not be missed.
Here's the thing, longtime fans aren't getting any younger. As you get older, your reflexes get worse. Have fun when Consort Radon is the new Asylum Demon, and your reflexes are only half as good. Oh, and it takes 10 years for FromSoft to develop their games, because they push their players so far that only 1,000 people are willing to play them.
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, dude, but there are these things called new FromSoft fans. In fact, I would not really consider myself a veteran FromSoft player. The first time that I really played a Souls game was 2 years ago when I picked up Dark Souls 1 Remastered and had a really good time with it, and then I picked up Elden Ring. And if you looked at my gameplay and my original response to Asmongold, you can probably tell that I am not some unthinkable skill level when it comes to Souls games, and guess what? Even I was still able to beat the DLC and have a good time with it. In fact, Elden Ring is by far From Software's most successful game, and it basically brought the Souls formula into the mainstream. So, as long as the games are good, there will be fans of this, whether they be longtime fans or new fans playing a Souls game for the first time. As for that statement at the end, that's just a complete fucking lie. It does not take 10 years for FromSoft to develop their games, because Elden Ring released in 2022, so if it really took 10 years, then we would not have gotten Dark Souls 2, we would not have gotten Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, or Sekiro in that time. And on top of that, there are way more than just 1,000 people playing this game. In fact, I checked the Steam charts, and as of me recording this, the 24-hour peak was 140,000 concurrent players. And that's just on Steam alone. That does not count all the people that played this game on console.
No, Hippo Boss is much harder. Falling Star Beast, you don't have to worry about the camera shoving up your butt if you're on the edge of the arena. And not everyone has the chance to get to the middle of the arena when the boss rushes you.
That's a complete lie. If you go to the edge of any arena, the camera will go up right against your character. However, if you don't go up to the edge of the arena like a fucking dumbass, you won't have to worry about it. Same goes for the hippo fight. Moving to the center of the arena is how you dodge his initial rush. Run to the side and then forward around the hippo and you'll dodge the attack while putting yourself in the middle of the arena. Also, I was able to clear the golden hippo much faster than the falling star beast in the base game.
Oh, defeating a DLC boss quicker than the base game boss? I wonder why that's the case. Couldn't be that we've had 2 years to solidify our experience in the game.
You know, it's like this guy is explaining why it isn't an issue without realizing why it isn't an issue. So where's the problem?
You just explained it. You found beating a base game boss when it's the first time playing said game harder than a DLC boss when you've had 2 years to perfect your craft. Guarantee you, if you face both bosses in the same month, you wouldn't be saying the Falling Star Beast is harder.
I just want to remind everybody that the context of the video that this comment thread is under is me explaining why the DLC is not complete bullshit like Asmongold wants to claim. And yet this dude is complaining that the DLC boss was easier than the boss in the base game. Except I haven't played Elden Ring since I beat it over a year ago, and I only picked it back up to beat Moog so I can play the DLC. Also, how exactly am I going to perfect my craft against a boss that I've never faced before?
I meant perfect your craft at the Elden Ring systems, not the bosses.
So again, where the fuck is the problem?
What is the problem?
Well, like I said, prior to defeating Moog and tackling the DLC, it had been about a year since I last played Elden Ring. And this dude's next response just proves my entire fucking point.
That doesn't really matter because of one thing. Brain patterns. I haven't played Ratchet and Clank in over a decade yet. When I booted it up for the first time, my brain instantly remembered how everything worked. No tutorial needed, even though it annoyingly still gave me it. Same with Ninja Gaiden. Same concept. You may not have played it for a year, but your mind will automatically reconnect dots. Not perfectly, but much better than the first time playthrough.
Congratulations. You just proved my point that it is a skill issue on Asmongold's part. If you're saying that I can apply my Elden Ring skills from the base game to the DLC, then that would hold true for everyone else as well. You know, I really have no idea how you could possibly recover from that, so of course this dude has to start deflecting.
Here's the thing, yes, it's a skill issue, but that's the problem. FromSoft has reached a near breaking point in terms of the skill ceiling. If they maintain this level of difficulty, they could alienate the very community that helped build them. No FromSoft DLC has ever garnered this much debate because no DLC has ever been this difficult.
I mean, FromSoft could alienate their player base, but you know what else could happen? Bill Gates could show up at my front door right now and give me $1 million. That doesn't mean it's gonna fucking happen. Besides, what could happen in the future is not even what this video is about or what Asmongold's video is about. We are talking about Shadow of the Erdtree specifically. And like I explained earlier, this is a DLC. Of course it's going to be harder than the base game. I mean, in order to even access the DLC, you have to defeat Moog, which is a boss that you can't even access until you reach the Consecrated Snowfield, which is about 70% of the way into the game. And by that point, you are reasonably expected to be well acquainted with the game's mechanics. Also, I hate to point out this obvious bit of logic, but the reason that Shadow of the Erdtree is the most discussed FromSoft DLC is not because it's too difficult, but rather, Elden Ring is by far From Software's most successful game, meaning naturally there are going to be more people playing and talking about it.
There are several reasons why it's this difficult, the most prevalent being the boss styles and gameplay styles not matching.
And yet you never fucking explain how. I mean, the styles of the bosses in this DLC are pretty much the same style that we see in the base game, except harder because it's DLC. And of all the bosses in this DLC, the only one that I'd say is kinda bullshit would be the final boss.
Tell me, do you want want FromSoft games to be just as hard as Shadow? If that's the case, prepare to wait longer and longer for them with diminishing quality.
And of course, we gotta end things off with a little bit of straw manning. Like, I don't think the next FromSoft game needs to be as difficult as Shadow of the Erdtree, because again, Shadow of the Erdtree is a fucking DLC. Of course, it's not gonna be as difficult as a base game. I think the base game would definitely need to be easier than Shadow. But seeing as we've had plenty of tough FromSoft DLCs in the past, combined with the fact that the difficulty curve in the FromSoft base games that came after it were perfectly fine for somebody to just jump in for the first time, I don't think there's anything to worry about. But of course, these Asmongold fanboys just have to keep fear-mongering just in order to try and defend their favorite YouTube streamer. But that was not the last comment from this dude, because there was another thread of his which was completely fucking stupid.
I think what Asmon is admitting about the AI reacting too accurately is kind of valid. Even when you back away and go for those moments of recovery, the moment you do anything to heal yourself, the bosses are moving to attack you. Rilana is a perfect example. She has a punish for healing in the moments you described. It's so precise that it doesn't feel natural.
Like I said in the video, if you wait until the boss's recovery window after they attack to heal, it's not an issue. It may take a few attempts to learn what those windows are, but that's true for most Souls bosses.
So healing right in front of their faces, hoping that the animation they did is the end of the combo when most of the bosses have combo extensions, because running away to heal after their combo won't work, because they'll just close the distance while you heal, punishing you. That's what you're saying. Yes, Souls bosses have done this, but never this aggressive, or without a counter to it.
No, you dumbass, that's not what I'm fucking saying. That's just you putting words in my mouth. If the boss is ready to attack you when you do something, then that's not the boss's recovery window. Most attacks from the bosses will leave them unable to attack you afterwards for a very short time, during which you can drink your Estus flask. Now, sure, there are certain attacks where they can extend their combo, but the simple solution is just don't heal after those attacks, and then wait for them to do another attack where you know it's safe to heal afterwards, and then drink your flask. Or alternatively, bait out their attack, and then heal after that. If you know their attack patterns, then you'll know if it's safe to heal or not. If you know that they're going to keep doing their combo, then wait for them to do it before healing. You don't need to run away to heal if they're in their recovery window. Also, if you think this is the most aggressive Souls bosses have been, then you clearly have not played Dark Souls 2.
But here's the issue, when their recovery windows are so short, you don't have the luxury of waiting those 2 seconds to see if their combo is over, because by then, they'll begin their next attack, and DS2 is my favorite in the Soulsborne series. The bosses there are not as aggressive as Bloodborne bosses, and Elden Ring DLC bosses are more aggressive than them.
Oh my fucking god. You don't have to wait to know the attack is over if you know their attack patterns. Again, this is a Souls game. Part of the challenge of the Souls games is learning the boss's attack patterns. And when you do know what the boss's attack patterns are, then you'll know when it's safe to heal or not. Like, dude, if you know the boss is going to attack you if you heal during a certain moment, and then you decide to heal during that moment anyway, that's your own fucking fault, you dumbass. The game is punishing you because you picked a shitty fucking time to heal. That is not the game's fault. And then some other Asmongold fanboys tried jumping to this dude's defense.
So Asmon is assuming that the point of input reading is that the boss becomes more natural and gives you the feeling that you are actually fighting someone. So when you start to heal, of course the boss will attack you. The problem is that the input reading is so instant that the boss is attacking before the player character even starts healing because it's reading your inputs. So that makes it feel unnatural because it would not work that way if you were fighting a real person.
Okay, first of all, it's not input reading, it's animation reading. Second of all, he was largely talking about from a gameplay perspective, not a realism perspective. And third of all,
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you try to heal during an extremely small opening because the enemy knows you're healing.
it doesn't matter if they know you're healing if they can't attack you. I swear, I don't know why I need to keep repeating myself this fucking often, but I guess these Asmongold fanboys don't know how to fucking listen. It's not like the bosses can animation read you and punish you for healing at all times. There are plenty of recovery windows where they can't do shit to you. Like, that's literally how I got through the DLC. Like, dude, if you know the boss is gonna attack you if you heal during certain moments, then don't fucking heal during those moments, dude. It's that simple! Like, I really don't know why this is such a hard concept to grasp. Alright, so I refuted this next guy point by point, so I'm just gonna go point by point between his comment and my response, just to make it easier.
I just feel like you're being so ridiculously disingenuous towards his points I couldn't take it seriously. The camera in Elden Ring is awful, and I don't even know how you can act like it's a skill issue when the camera doesn't zoom out on bosses that are massive. Perfect example is the Divine Dancing Lion spam spinning breath. If he does that next to you, you literally cannot see him, and it's a genuine issue that I cannot dodge because I cannot see. To call that a skill issue is insane.
I was able to see the dancing lion spinning breath perfectly fine, even when he was right next to me. If I can see it fine, then you should be able to as well. Like, I seriously have no idea what the fuck this dude was doing that he couldn't see the spinning breath attack of the dancing lion. Again, I was able to see it perfectly fine, so I see no reason why he shouldn't be able to.
He's also not wrong at all about the boss's input/animation reading you. Rilana is a perfect example with her ranged attacks. The amount of time she has actively spammed a ranged attack to hit me on heal is ridiculous. I had her do the Crescent Glaive spell twice in a row back to back just because I healed.
Jesus Christ, another broken record moment. But like I stated in the video, if you choose to heal during a moment when you know the boss can attack you, that is your own fault. Bait out an attack and heal during the recovery windows, and you'll be able to heal perfectly fine.
Then you have visibility issues where you literally can't see during the Promised Consort Radahn's fight because of all the special effects in Miquella's hair.
You know, that is actually a fair criticism against the DLC. I think all the visual effects in the Radahn fight are pretty fucking obnoxious. I'm not sure why he's acting like I'm defending that though, because I never once defended it in that video, but as for the visibility issues during the fight with Radahn, yeah, I 100% agree with that criticism. However, Asmongold did not bring it up anywhere in the video, so naturally I'm not going to say anything about it. This is not my review of Shadow of the Erdtree, this is a response video.
To say only performance issues are a problem in Elden Ring or Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is just a From Software fanboy thing to say.
And you know that these Asmongold fanboys have absolutely no argument whatsoever when they have to resort to literally fucking lying about what I said in the video. Like, there are some good criticisms you could make towards the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. One of my biggest ones is the performance issues. I never said that the only issue with the DLC was the performance, I said that it was my biggest issue. Now, there are other issues that I do have with Shadow of the Erdtree, but besides maybe the second phase of the Radahn fight, they're pretty fucking minor.
Especially when the Scatter Tree blessing system exists. I literally boss rushed the game my second DLC playthrough just because of that system. It is absolutely broken. I don't blame people for thinking the DLC is hard when that exists to completely screw you over.
There's literally nothing wrong with the Scatter Tree fragment system. If it wasn't a problem to have to explore the base game for smithing stones, ghost gloveworts, golden seeds, blessings of Marika, crystal tears, weapons, or ashes of war, then there shouldn't be any issue whatsoever exploring for Scatter Tree fragments. If someone isn't exploring for them, then that's on them, not the game. Also, quick editor's note here, I meant Sacred Tears, but I incorrectly referred to them as Blessings of Marika.
Oh, little extra thing I forgot. He said that he felt that he was cheating, not that it is cheating. So yeah, that was also just disingenuous as hell. For example, I don't like using magic or summons because it feels cheap to me. I don't think it is cheating, but if I do it, it feels like cheating to me personally.
As for the whole cheating thing, saying that using elements of the sandbox feels like cheating is absolutely retarded when he is also bitching about the DLC being too hard. If you want to restrict yourself to make it more challenging, that's fine, but that is on you, not the game. On top of that, if he feels like it's cheating, then in his mind, he does think that it is cheating. Like, dude, the only one being disingenuous here is you.
Okay, I assumed this would be the response where you just don't read or understand what I said, so I'll get more specific. The Scatter Tree fragment system is terrible because it isn't like Golden Seeds and Sacred Tears. Those do not buff your damage, negation, and dealing. They buff your flask, which just helps you survive longer.
And having extra damage negation doesn't help you survive longer? Like, dude, maybe think before you fucking speak.
The Scatter Tree system is so brutally flawed that my second playthrough I first tried every single boss except Radahn, and it was so insanely easy I couldn't believe it.
I could literally say the same thing about the base game in New Game Plus. What is your point?
I think even From Software realized how terrible the system is as they changed it right after launch.
No, they just tweaked some numbers. The system itself still works the same as it did at launch.
Obviously, my first playthrough was before From Software made that Steam forum post about how important the fragments are, so it was ridiculously hard. Not because of boss movesets, but because every single boss was so absurdly tanky as I didn't have many fragments, as it made the fights nearly impossible.
You know, you could literally apply this exact same logic to the smithing stones in the base game, because if you don't find those, your weapons ain't gonna do jack shit against some of the later bosses. So again, how is this an issue with the Scatter Tree system specifically?
Keep in mind, From Software themselves buffed this system and also had to make a post about it because most people didn't understand how important they were, which is on the game.
How is that on the game? From the very first Scatter Tree fragment, which you should be able to find quite fucking easily, like less than 10 minutes after getting into the DLC, the game makes it clear that it increases your attack and your defense. The only way that you wouldn't know the importance of these is if you either don't know how to read, or you somehow never came across any of the Erdtree blessings, which I highly doubt.
Also, I could be completely wrong, and I'll probably rewatch the video, but I didn't hear Asmongold bring up the performance issues. He was mainly talking about other things, so I assumed that was your only criticism because he didn't bring that up.
I mean, he did bring that up in another part of his video, but I cut that out of mine because the video would have been way too long otherwise, and it wasn't really relevant because I didn't have any issues with him pointing out the performance issues. But, you know, I'll give you props for being able to admit to your L.
For the input/animation reading, I will also go into a bit more depth. I tried to heal right after Rolanda did her crescent glaive ranged attack, and she did it again and then again because she knew I was healing. If you think that is okay, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, she has literally never done that until I tried to heal. I even tested this a couple times with the final boss. After Radahn does his meteor throw attack, if you don't need to heal, he will not attack and walk to you. But if you try to heal, then you will immediately go to his gravity corkscrew leap attack that he starts the first phase with.
And again, for the billionth fucking time that I've said this in this video, if you know the boss is going to attack you, if you heal during a certain time, then don't fucking heal during those times. It really is that simple. Now again, I do think second phase Radahn is quite bullshit, but first phase Radahn, like you're describing, actually gives you plenty of recovery windows.
I just think it's ridiculous that the boss's input/animation read you so hard. It really shows with my favorite boss fight, Melania. She will almost never input read you, and it is noticeable if you watch people or play the fight yourself. Now, if you just want to pretend that none of this stuff exists, or maybe you just have the best RNG of all time, fine, but I think the terrible reviews this DLC got and the discourse around it show that people do have these issues, and some of this stuff is just poorly designed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I never denied that it was in the game. I just said that it's not a problem, because there are plenty of times where they can't animation read you and you can heal just fine, because they have recovery windows after their attacks. On top of that, when they can extend their combos, there's always a consistent cadence to it. Like, for example, there's a certain attack Radahn does where he jumps into the air, spins around, and then slams down, but if you attack him or try to heal immediately afterwards, he'll do it a second time. The thing is, the rhythm for this is always consistent. It's always like jump spin, slam, jump spin, slam. So once you get a feel for that rhythm, you'll know that's how he does it, and if he doesn't do the second one when he's supposed to, you'll know it's safe to heal or get in an attack or whatever. As for the negative reviews on Steam, most of them are because of the performance issues. There are a few complaining about the difficulty balancing, yes, but the overwhelming majority of them have negative reviews because of the performance. Which is a more than fair thing to give a negative review over, but that's not the same as the difficulty being unbalanced.
Last little thing about cheating, I think he's saying his playstyle feels invalidated by certain bosses. Like at Radahn, my first DLC run, I was using fist only and my attacks wouldn't hit on lock-on, so I had to start unlocking and it became very annoying. Like I shouldn't have to change my build or playstyle in an RPG game from one boss and start using stuff that isn't fun to me just because they wanted the boss to have fissures after every attack and massive anime moves.
Okay, first of all, the only boss that really applies to where you have to completely change your playstyle would be Radahn, and yeah, I think everybody's in agreement that Consort Radahn, at least as far as the second phase goes, is complete bullshit. But that's not really the case for the rest of the bosses. Now sure, you may need to adapt, maybe you might try like a slightly different weapon, or maybe you'll use a different talisman, like I used one that increased fire negation for the Mesmer fight. But that's not really a complete change in playstyle, that's just adapting and improving your build over time, which has always been a thing in Souls games. So to say that it feels like cheating is fucking stupid. And with that, we have finally got to the shitty comments. So I guess the moral of the story is, don't simp for your favorite fucking YouTuber just because he's your favorite YouTuber. Evaluate their points on a case-by-case basis. But anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more, and tell me what you thought of these shitty-ass comments. Anyways, that's it. Peace!